There is something you are doing every day that is shaping your entire life, and you are almost certainly doing it by accident. You are contemplating, you are dwelling on something, turning it over, feeling your way into it, giving it your quiet attention in the unguarded moments. And whatever you dwell on with feeling, you slowly become, not as a metaphor, as a law, as dependable as any law in nature. I learned this not from a book, but from my own experience, and tonight I am going to give it to you as a tool you can use, because once you see how it works, you will never again dwell on something carelessly. Let me show you what I mean. Once at sea, in an idle hour, I began to brood on a single idea. I wondered what I would be if I were of too pure eyes to behold anything but perfection, if to me all things were pure, and I held no condemnation toward anyone. I did not think about this idea from a distance. I sank into it. I let it become the whole of my attention until I was lost in it. And something happened that taught me everything. I felt myself lifted clean out of the world of my senses. I came upon a great multitude of broken people, the blind, the lame, the withered, and as I came near, without effort on my part, one after another, they were made whole. Missing eyes, missing hands, missing feet, all of them drawn from some invisible source and shaped into perfection, in harmony with the perfection I was feeling rise within me. And when the last of them was made whole, I heard the words, "It is finished." Then I woke. Now I do not tell you this so that you will go looking for visions. I tell you this because of what it revealed. That vision was not sent to me from somewhere outside. It was the precise shape of the state I had been contemplating. I had become for that moment the perfection I was dwelling on, and the inner world rearranged itself instantly to match. My meditations, I came to understand, invariably bring about union with the state contemplated. Whatever I give myself to completely, I become, and so do you if you understand the next part, which is the part that makes this usable. It is not only what you contemplate that decides what you become. It is the mood you bring to it. I discovered this as a boy. There was a greater self that would visit me in the night, something older than my life, nearer to me than my own boyhood, and I knew somehow that it was me, my own deeper being. But I was afraid of it, and because I met it in fear, it came to me as terror, a stormy ocean of frightening power that drenched me and tossed me about like a helpless wave. The same presence. Years later, as a man, I came to conceive of it not as power, but as love. And when I met it now, in that mood, what a love enfolded me. It became a mirror to all that I brought to it. Do you see it? The same deeper self. Two completely different experiences, and the only thing that changed was the mood I carried into the meeting. My fear made it a stormy sea. My love made it an embrace. Whatever I conceived it to be, it became to me. And the same thing is deciding your life right now, whether you know it or not. This is the magnet. Your expectant mood is a magnet, and it unites you with whatever is of its own nature. Bring fear to your contemplation, and you unite with the feared thing. Bring the quiet feeling of the wish already fulfilled, and you unite with that. The mood is not decoration on top of the practice. The mood is the practice. It selects what you become, particularly if your situation is real and unhappy. Now, I know exactly what is rising in you as you hear this, because it rises in everyone, and it is the one thought that will keep you from ever using what I am telling you. You are thinking, but my situation is real. If I am unhappy, surely the cause is out there, the circumstances, the people, the conditions I did not choose. How can a mood change a fact? Hold on to that question, because the answer is the whole of it, and almost no one ever hears it plainly. There is no help coming from the outside. No help cometh from without. The hills to which we lift our eyes are those of an inner range. The change you are waiting for the world to make, it cannot make it, because the world is not the cause. It is the reflection. As within, so without. There can be no outer change until there is first an inner change. Now hear me, because this is not philosophical indifference. I am not telling you to ignore your life. I am telling you to stop attacking the reflection. Everything you do without a change of consciousness is but a futile readjustment of surfaces. You can rearrange the outer conditions endlessly, and you will receive no more than your own inner assumptions affirm. There is nothing to change but your concept of self, and here is the precise way to change it. So here is the tool. This is what those visions taught me, made plain enough for you to use tonight. First, choose the state, not the circumstance. Do not contemplate the thing you want, the money, the healing, the relationship. Contemplate the self for whom those things are already natural, the one who is secure, the one who is loved, the one who is well. You are not reaching for an object out there, you are uniting with an identity in here. Second, bring the right mood, because the mood is the magnet. And here I know what you are thinking, because you have tried this before. I have imagined good things, and nothing came. But ask yourself how you imagined them. Did you imagine them in longing, wanting them, reaching for them? Because longing is the feeling of not having, and a mood of not having unites you with more not having. That is why it failed. It was never the imagining, it was the mood underneath it. So bring the quiet, settled mood of one for whom it is already done. The relief, the naturalness, the feeling that needs no proof. Third, give it the intensity of real attention. The reason my visions formed so vividly is that I did not glance at the idea. I became lost in it, absorbed, until for that moment I was what I contemplated. You do not need a vision, but you do need to actually enter the state, not merely think about it from the outside. Feel it until it feels real. And fourth, let it become habitual. A single moment of feeling is not yet a transformation. Our ordinary states flicker past too quickly, each one replaced by another before it can take root. But when one state grows so stable that it crowds the others out, when it becomes the place you habitually live, that is a true transformation. That is when the outer world has no choice but to reshape itself to match. And how far that reshaping reaches will surprise you. Because it does not stop at your circumstances. It reaches into the people around you. The ones who help you and the ones who hinder you, whether they know it or not, are servants of this law, moved into place to reflect the state you are holding within. The circumstances of your life are too closely related to your concept of yourself to have come from anywhere else. If there is something painful in your life, I do not say this to condemn you, I say it to free you. Look within for the cause, because that is the only place you have the power to change it. And there it is, the freedom hidden inside what sounds, at first, like a hard saying. If the cause were truly outside you, you would be helpless, waiting forever on a world that does not answer. But the cause is within, so the remedy is within. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are the one contemplating, and tonight you can contemplate deliberately. So tonight, do not dwell on what is wrong. Do not lift your eyes to the outer hills, waiting for help to arrive from some condition or some person. Turn inward, to the only range where the change is actually made. Choose the self you wish to be. Bring to it the mood of one who already is. Enter it with the whole of your attention, until for a moment you are no longer thinking about it. You are it. And return to it until it becomes the place you live. Because what we imagine, that we are. You have imagined your way into the life you now have, and you can imagine your way into another. There is nothing out there to fix. There is only the self to change, and the world, which has never been anything but the mirror of that self, will rearrange itself, quietly and completely, to match the self that you are.